Hi, this is Sensei James Leonelli from Sensei's Weekly Mindset, and I'm here to talk to you about betonline.net. Betonline.net is your #1 source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball, soccer, and esports. Don't forget my personal favorite, MMA. We've got it all on betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, we can help you find those on BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. And don't forget BetOnline for NHL, boxing, golf, and like I said, my personal favorite, the sport of MMA. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Life isn't always easy, and you don't have to face it alone. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you have access to a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of needs. To get started, you simply answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's most convenient for you. The best part is, if your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom-picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at a more affordable price, all from the comfort at home. To start your journey and to get 10% off of your first month, go to betterhelp.com/sensei. That's betterhelp.com/sensei. BetterHelp, you deserve to be happy. Hi guys, Sensei James Leonelli here to talk to you about another one of our sponsors, LMNT. An electrolyte drink mix. Each one of these little packets gives you exactly what you need to keep you as hydrated as all us athletes like to be. If you're like me, you work out a lot, and when you work out a lot, you also sweat a lot. Now, when we sweat, we don't lose just water, of course. We also sweat out salt. We sweat out electrolytes. So each one of these packets contains 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium, giving you everything that you need in order to maintain optimal hydration and nothing that you don't. So to go online, place an order for your sample pack, and to get yourself a bonus free sample pack, you're going to go to this website right here, elementallabs.refr.cc/James Leonelli. You're going to see this down in the video below, but I'll say it one more time for you. elementallabs.refr.cc/James Leonelli. Again, it's a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing that you don't. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Sensei's Weekly Mindset. I'm Sensei James Leonelli, owner and head instructor of Tiger Schulman's here in Smithtown. Once again, I am back in my home recording space, ready to give you guys this week's food for thought. And as we are here today, you see I'm wearing my school apparel from this year. Again, this and all items like it available on tigear.com, tigear.com. So, as we sit here today, we are just days removed from Challenge Champions 53. So 53 tournaments we've put on to this point, Tiger Schulman's, and I think every year it gets a little bit better. You know, every 6 months we put the tournament on, December and June, and every year, I think things get a little bit better, and we find new ways to do things and new systems and all this, and, you know, more experiences for our students that are fantastic. So really good stuff overall, which I was super, super happy to see. So let's start with the Tiger Schulman's world of the Challenge Champions and how things were different or so forth. So number one, I mentioned this last week. The biggest change that we had is this was the first year that we were working with Smooth Comp, which is a tournament software available around the world, and the programmers, their software is used by everybody you could imagine. Any big tournament in the world uses SmoothComp, and it makes for a very, very streamlined experience for us as staff. For example, what we used to have when running ring staff was we had someone who was a timekeeper, we had someone who was running brackets, we had someone who was keeping the actual score of like a jiu-jitsu match. It was like flipping over these little numbered things. So 3 jobs there. Now, don't get me wrong, we could combine that maybe into 2 where, maybe the person running the stopwatch could also flip the things, right? But certainly they couldn't take on the brackets as well. That in and of itself, giant pain in the butt. So SmoothComp takes all 3 of those jobs and consolidates them down to 1. So one person runs the stopwatch, runs the points, runs the brackets, and honestly, they don't even really run the brackets so much as SmoothComp organizes the brackets for them. It's still up to them to execute properly. I'll give you an example. For example, if there was a bracket with 16 slots, but you only had 9 or 10 kids, many kids get buys to the first round, but a couple of kids are going to have to fight in that preliminary round in order to get in to the round of 8. So now, if those kids who are fighting are up higher in the bracket, if you're doing the matches numerically and not stepping back and looking at what's happening, you're going to have this kid possibly fight 2 times in a row because, they were the only match in the first round. Now they advance, and now they're the first match in the second round. So now you're like, wait a second. I've got to take a little break here and have that person fight again in 2 minutes. When realistically, the human element of this would be like, no, I should go down to the next match of that bracket and start there and then do those 3 matches, then come back to that person. That would be be the way that works the most sense. And then do the bottom match, and so forth. So there's still that human element that was needed to kind of analyze things and look at it and see what needed to be done. And we were expecting, honestly, some headaches. We were expecting some things to be done poorly or in a difficult fashion or so forth. So I got a little bit of a promotion a couple of days before the tournament because I spent some time in SmoothComp. When we did our initial training on it, I left the SmoothComp meeting and I was a little intimidated. I was looking at it and I was like, I don't feel really good with this. Something seems off here. This feels very complicated to me. I don't feel like I have it. I need to get in this demo mode and play around. And once I spent some time playing around in the software and putting some time into learning it and actually practicing it, it was far less intimidating than I actually thought it was. So as such, my district here on Long Island, they kind of nominated me to teach our staff here on Long Island how to do that. And when we did our 2 trainings, our second one, we invited the entire organization to come and do it. And even people from headquarters attended virtually. And they were very happy with how it went, myself and the other instructors who did our staff training. And basically, after that, we decided, or rather it was decided, that we should try to find a way in my ring to make me available, where I wouldn't necessarily be tied down to my ring all day. Instead, I could float around and help people with SmoothComp as necessary. And it kind of worked out perfectly because the first division in one of the rings, very first match of the day, happened to be Riley's. So as it was, I wasn't going to be doing the first division anyway. So Riley being the first match, I got to step away and watch her. And I'll get to her and Kai's experience a bit in just a moment. But in between her matches, it gave me the ability to kind of float from table to table to table in that section and be like, all right, guys, how's everything going? And honestly, we didn't encounter very many headaches at all. There were a couple of problems that we knew could happen. Bracketing issues mainly, where if a person was removed from one bracket because they didn't make weight or whatever, and they were removed from that bracket, now they get added to a new one. What SmoothComp could do sometimes is leave a complete bye here, which means, okay, there's matches here. This person should have had a bye. Now this person has a bye in the first round and their opponent a bye in the second round, and now they're having a bye almost all the way into the finals, and that isn't accurate. We needed to be able to adjust that. So we knew that was something that could be an issue just because of how SmoothComp's software works in terms of moving people. But again, there comes the human element of just stepping back and looking at your brackets and be like, something here is not right. And to redraw it was actually not very difficult at all. So we did have one such experience where the bracket would now shrink in size. So we had 9 kids, which means we were in a bracket of 16, many buys, 1 match in the initial round. 2 kids were moved out. So now we have 7 kids in a bracket of 16, and that doesn't work because then you get the situation that I described where people are getting buys into the final 4. So I showed them, like, look, here's all you got to do. You got to just use this function here, and really that was the main issue. There was that and one small other issue that we had where if someone did not show up, it wasn't always a big deal because in certain circumstances, let's say you had 8 kids in an 8-kid bracket and one of the kids doesn't show up. Well, now their opponent gets a bye. No big deal. But if you had 9 kids in that bracket of 16, now we got to restructure the bracket because depending on how they laid out, things might again result in a bye, depending on which kid was the one that wasn't there. So again, that took a little bit of doing to do. So we've kind of come up with a workaround and how we can continue moving forward there. But really, again, on the SmoothComp end, no real issues. Things we knew were going to be issues possibly, and a couple of other little things. We also experimented with some other things because of the fact that SmoothComp is how you weigh people in as well. We kind of did weigh-in stations at every ring, so it was nice. I saw a lot of rings, they made like a separate station behind, so like they were still handling the weigh-ins for their ring. In our section of rings, Sensei George from our Rockville Center location had a great idea to just make a weigh-in station. And he took 4 scales, 5 scales, something like that. And he took a bunch of staff, and they sat there, and their entire job, the entire day, was weigh people in. And it worked out really well, and it was kind of seamless. And again, we talked about how to double-check that, and there's not necessarily a limitation in the software, but there were only certain screens where you can see if someone is weighed in advance. So we talked about having our staff utilize those screens so we knew exactly what was going on, and if people were weighed in and so forth. So that was definitely something we tried on the new side. Something that we've been kind of working a little bit, but we really kind of systemized it this time, was having instructors set up in such a way where in between matches or in between divisions, what would happen is we'd finish the one division, they'd take their pictures, bye-bye, we'd get the next division, we'd get their parents, so we could have a rules meeting before everything. And then we were realizing, like, we can do this at a different time. If as soon as we get down to the final 4 of the last match of the last division, or we're going to have 4 matches left, if we just had one of the officials go out and do that talk, now they can go out and they can do that talk. And if they're doing it while the other matches are going on and the bases are covered, now that's significantly less time people are waiting around. Because now if every division moves 5 to 10 minutes faster, because there's not that break in between of that rules meeting. So if they're moving that much faster, that translates to much less time people are sitting around waiting to compete. So we tried that. We kind of systemized that much more, as much as we could, and I think it really worked out well. Again, also like understanding, because SmoothComp uses different verbiage than we do. I talked about bracket versus event. I remember talking about that last week. So understanding when we needed to get people to our rings, these type of things, it definitely made it a little bit of a learning curve more than anything else. I wouldn't say difficult, just a learning curve. But once we got systemized, I think things really ran well. So now getting into the student experience of things, and more accurately, my kids' experience of things. Kai and Riley competed again. It was very funny because whereas 6 months ago, Riley was with the crying, unsign me up, I'm not doing it, blah, blah, blah. This time, completely different kid. Confident, really confident, and excited for it too. Really excited. And she going into going into competing that day, she was really not only very confident, but really understood her mission and like was telling us very confidently, oh yeah, I'm going to win the gold medal this time, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And came into the COC very relaxed, really just like playing to the crowd and so forth. Her biggest concern, honestly, was she was right on the line with weight. Depending on what day we were weighing her, she was overweight by a half pound, underweight by a half pound. So she was floating pretty close. So the night before, I put her in my sauna tent for a little while. She and I sat in there for a little bit. And then we tried to have her sleep with a bunch of blankets, put her in the car with a bunch of blankets over her. The one limitation we had is, unfortunately, because of some other family stuff we were doing on Saturday, we didn't get home until much later than we wanted to. And the kids were not operating on the prime amount of sleep. Let's put it that way, because we did have to get up quite early to get there. So as a result, Riley was a little bit sleep deprived and a little bit cranky at certain points of the day, for sure. But she is set for grappling, knows she's going to be the first match of the day. And she, like I said, as confident as can be. And the most important thing to her was her crowd there watching her. My father-in-law came, a bunch of the kids from the school were it was great because Smooth Comp does give you an ability to see where people are going to be and be able to work around from school to school to school. So that was definitely cool. And the crowd did follow the school, which was awesome. So she goes out and she competes and she does very well. I don't believe she got a point scored on her until the finals. Took kids down, great top pressure, found their back over and over and over again. Just really did a very good job. At points, I caught her watching the scoreboard, looking how much time was left, looking at the crowd, playing to the crowd. Very calm, very relaxed. So gets to the finals, and I had seen the other kid, and I was like, "Ooh, if anybody's going to be trouble in this division, that kid's going to be trouble." He was, for lack of a better word, kind of squirrely, a little more on the aggressive side than some of the other kids. And I was like, okay, if anybody's going to give Riley an issue, he's going to give Riley an issue. And she came out trying to do the same thing she did and went for her double leg takedown. And she wound up on her knee for a little too long. He eventually bowled her over, was able to knock her down and get onto her back. And sure as anything, that girl wiggled her way out, pressed herself up, got back to her feet, took him down, got on top, got side control, put her knee on his belly, took the mount. As soon as he gave her an opportunity, she took his back. Very systematic, and then just rode the kid for the entire rest of the match. Wherever he went, she was there. Great top pressure, great movement between positions, and found his back many, many, many times, or at least 2 or 3 times, I believe, and wound up winning pretty decisively. Over the course of the matches, she frustrated 2 boys so much to the point where they cried, and this young man happened to be one. And it's by one part of you don't want to see another kid cry because that's not the experience we want them to have. But by the other token, as the parent of the child who made that other kid cry, or the foster parent in this case, it gives you a sense of satisfaction knowing that if she can do this to this kid who's trained, if some bully on the playground tries to mess with Riley, that bully's going to be sorry, really fast. And that's a great peace of mind. It's a really great peace of mind. So she wins the gold medal, and she's preening. She's walking around like nobody's business. She goes over to kickbox. And the kickboxing happened to be in the ring that I was working. So I, of course, recused myself of any kind of influence. And her first match was supposed to be the young man she faced in the finals of jiu-jitsu. And he wasn't there to compete for whatever reason. But at any rate, gets into her next match. And now she's in the final 4. Because it was a bracket of 8. She had a bye with that kid missing. So now we went down to she's in the final 4. First match, she comes out and she does pretty well. The other kid's pretty aggressive. She was looping her punches a little more than I would have liked. And I asked her to throw her round 1 a lot in training. I'm like, that's the one I want you to throw. I want you to throw that one to their belly, that one to their belly. And she never really did that. But she it was kind of rock'em sock'em robots, her and the other kid. Very much like punch for punch. They go to a draw, they do the 1 minute extension, she loses a split decision. And my young lady was salty at that point. I went over to talk to her and she was like, "Stop, get away." I was like, "Okay." I'm like, "Are you upset that you lost?" And she says, "Yes." I was like, "Okay, well, you do get to compete again for third place." Okay. And she goes out and she controlled the distance much better in the second match. Was out of range when she needed to be out of range, making her opponent miss. Was in range when she needed to be in range, landing well, good combinations and so forth. Comes away with the bronze medal. But she still let me know that those judges got it wrong. That night we got home, she wanted to watch the video of her kickboxing fight again. And she said to my wife and even to me, she goes, "I don't think I lost that fight. I think I won that fight." And it was close. It was really close. But my advice to her is the same I would give to any of my kids. If it's close and you lose a split decision, that's on you. You left it too close where there was a question. Next time, win so decisively there is no question. Beat the other kid, outmatch the other kid so much that there is no question who won. So that brings us to Kai and his experience. And Kai is cool as a cucumber. This guy, he is a gamer now. He is just ready to go. When it comes to the COC. He didn't really have a big concern with his weight. He was on the lower half of his weight division, about a 20-pound spread. And when we weighed him in, he was like 106. And the division went up to 120. So he had plenty of wiggle room there. I think officially by the time we weighed him in for the day, I think he weighed 109. Because once he knew that he didn't have to worry about what to eat, he was eating whatever he wanted. And so he was just as relaxed as could be. And he really wanted to shine, especially because Riley went first. And both of Riley's things were done first. So now he's got a little bit of pressure on him. I was like, I gotta win medals like my sister. At least that's the pressure he was putting on himself. And comes out and does very well in jiu-jitsu. He was kind of playing around with a kid earlier and doing something I didn't like. He gets in the habit of when he goes for takedowns, not like, hand fighting and looking for a good takedown. He sometimes just likes to pull a kid and try to just snap him down, but not even do it well, just kind of out-muscle the kid to the floor, not even with good timing or a good little pop to take them down, just tries to muscle them. And so finally I yell, I'm like, "No, do good stuff." And as soon as I say that, he double legs the kid, takes him down, and just really looked good from there. He, unlike Riley, who was not afraid to move between positions and was giving some stuff up, to like get to better positions and so forth, and taking the chance to take backs and everything like that. Kai didn't do as much of that. He just showed some really great top pressure. If he got a lead, he did his best just to ride the lead out because, why do more than you have to and exert yourself more than you have to when you're going to have many of these matches throughout the day. And he had 4 matches, I believe, in jiu-jitsu. And I think, again, only had 1 point scored on him up until the semifinals. Then in the semifinals, the kid did manage to get on top of him at 1 point, but Kai was able to reverse him, get on top, and get his points back and do well there. Did it a couple of times, actually, now that I think about it. Gets to the finals match, and it was a little bit frustrating for both kids because the other kid, there was a lot of hand fighting going on, right? Kai would try to clear the kid's hands, and the kid would push away, and the kid would try to clear Kai's hands, and Kai would push away. So no one really engaged for the whole regulation time. And they went to overtime. The kid shoots a fairly deep double on Kai, and Kai drops his hips and sprawls real well and muscles the kids over a couple of times, nearly getting side control. But the kid did the intelligent thing and twice got his way back up to his knees before giving away the points. Now it comes to a judge's decision, and he lost a split decision that way. So to say he was frustrated would be give a bit of a misnomer, but he's more like, I was just so close. I was so close. I think he may have been kicking himself that he didn't do a little bit more. But you live, you learn. And then he went to kickbox. And kickboxing, he had a similar experience in his first match to his final match. Or to his kickboxing match, I should say. Personally, I was really pulling for Kai because the father of the young man that he was competing against was quite rude to many people in the crowd, myself included. And not that I wish harm on the child, but I didn't want him to be sticking around and advancing, just because of what a poor sport his father was. But nonetheless, Kai, again, just a little too conservative, just held back a little bit too much. Didn't do quite enough. They went to an overtime. At the overtime, Kai loses a split decision. It is what it is. As soon as he gets to the mat, he goes, that's so fun. I love to kickbox at the tournament. So we talked about, what to do differently next time. But the beautiful thing is, we're telling the kids when the next COC is. And Riley, again, 6 months ago, sign me up. She's like, wait, I have to wait till December to do that again? That stinks. Like she realized how long it was till the next one, and she got upset. So I'm going to see if there's some other tournaments I can put them in during the summer, because I'm sure she'll appreciate that, definitely. But just overall, a great day. And it's funny, now having these kids live in my house, I see even more the experience that this brings to these kids, how much they've conquered fear, how much they're okay being under the lights now, and what that has done for their mindset and their self-confidence. Now I'm even more passionate about having the students in my school, have the parents do it. And we had a great showing. From what I could see, I saw lots of kids come over with medals of different kinds. A bunch of first-time competitors won medals. I happened to see one young lady who was doing jiu-jitsu in my ring, and she did real well. She was in a very small division, but still won first place. She was doing 2 out of 3 with one girl, because I think it was just a 2-person division. But either way, she beat the girl handedly both times. And it was great, because I happened to be walking over to the ring staff. I'm like, it's my girl Chloe. And one of the other senseis who was kind of hanging about the table, I'm like, I've been trying to get this girl to do the tournament for like 2 tournaments now. And as I say that, she just picks this girl with a double leg and just dumps her beautifully. And we'll be like, when it happens. It was a really great showing for her. And even better, I knew she was a little bit nervous, I should say. But she overcame that and performed really, really well. So again, just a great day. One of my favorite days of the year. I absolutely love it. I think the COC is one of the best things we do at Tiger Schulman's. And I think the results speak for themselves. When the kids who do this eventually go and compete at higher levels, you see just how well they acclimate to their nerves, and how well these kids go on to perform and everything. So that's all I have for you guys today. As always, you can reach me via email, senseileonelli@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at sensei_Leonelli. You can find me on Facebook. I'm Sensei James Leonelli. You can go to my linktr, linktr.ee/Sensei Leonelli. There you will find the March for Mika t-shirt, which we raised even more money there, which is beautiful. You can find all of our sponsors. Sponsorship opportunities still available. Every bit of information about me for flex fights, for Tiger Schulman's, everything else that you would need to know. The next flex fight is coming up June 22nd, going to be a big night. Other than that, you can find my school online, tsmasmithtown.com. On Facebook, we're at facebook.com/Tiger Schulman Smithtown. Twitter and Instagram is at tsmma_Smithtown. Find the podcast on Instagram at Sensei's Weekly Mindset. Find more about the Tiger Schulman's organization as a whole at tsk.com. Make sure that you guys leave a rate and review. Just helps. Make sure you guys subscribe. Get your new episodes every Wednesday. But most importantly, guys, share the podcast. It is the only form of advertising I have. So I absolutely love when I see you guys doing it. Thank you very much. And until next time, my friends, invest in yourselves. I'll see you guys on the mat.